I would like a packet.
Oh, that.
Thank you. Am I calling the meeting to order?
You must be. You're the only
Oh,
council.
I'm the only council member. Okay. It is 7:30, and I will call the land use meeting of August 16th to order. And the first item is going to be interesting for me. So, well, Brandy.
I see that.
Yeah.
So Mr. Gehring approached the city asking to do a street vacation for his property. And so in the packet is a map, and he's got it crossed off as to what he wants vacated. And so the process is to bring it before land use to make sure that there isn't any issues with bringing this forward to the full council to set a public hearing and vacate the right of way. I did reach out to DCD and Public Works to see if there was any issues, and Mr. Dorsey is in here now that can tell us if there's any issues with the vacation of Farragut.
Yes, there's a major issue.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to figure out where they're trying to vacate.
So it's this part right here.
So it's just one quarter of the street right away on that block.
Right. That is right where the sewer and the water are running.
Okay, so this is the water main.
Oh,
here.
that's the uphill. You're the steep down.
Right.
Okay.
So that's the water main running right along the edge of it?
Right, and that's plus or minus the same with the sewer. So it's running in that half of the right away, unfortunately.
It is on that side.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately, yeah.
That's what we wanted to know.
Yeah. Well, and this is the process to find out. So. Yeah.
So I didn't know sometimes if there's some sort of pipes, if there's an easement that the city gets from, but this is one of those ones that doesn't qualify for that. Right.
Well, the issue is going to be we could do a locate and find out exactly where, this is off our GIS system. We know that there's a water and a sewer through there.
Oh, okay.
If we had them located, and then we put an easement on it, the issue is still that we're going to have to be able to gain access to those, so you're not really gaining anything by having the easement on it.
Okay.
You're not gonna be able to build
Because you
it.
couldn't build anything on it because
Right.
the pipe's in the ground.
Yeah.
Right.
You're almost better to have use of it already.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you understand that you actually own that land fee simple. It's unopened right of way.
Oh, okay.
You're just providing for a public access. That doesn't mean that your lawn couldn't go over there. You couldn't. You just need to know that if there was a sewer break, there's going to be a backhoe running on it.
Right.
So you wouldn't
Right.
put anything in there that would be detrimental to us, like a deck or anything,
Okay.
or a fish
Right.
pond, or
Right.
a garden shed, because it would get moved quickly in an
Right.
emergency.
Uh-huh.
But if you wanted to landscape that
Okay.
and
Put in some little concrete blocks and stuff like that we didn't care if they got tossed away or
anything
thrown
that
out.
you don't mind, anything that doesn't impede,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right.
not permanent.
because again, you're the underlying fee owner of that.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just that there is a public right of way
Oh, okay.
granted.
All right.
I just want to make sure I understand. That's a Guy Wetzel rather than a Farragut, isn't it?
Well, the address is actually Farragut.
I know your address
Oh,
is
okay.
Farragut,
All right.
but when I look at this map, Farragut runs north-south.
North-south.
Yeah, they'd be
Yeah.
vacating
Right.
that
It's
way.
got-
They
Wetzel.
Guy Wetzel
You'd
is
be
the street,
vacating
yes.
Guy Wetzel. Now
Guy
I...
Wetzel's the street in question.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Sorry, that's just how it was described to me when I put the packet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says Guy Wetzel on there. Yeah, it's Guy Wetzel. So, it's we just need to have access to our utilities.
So what would the process be to have it located so we actually knew where those pipes were going?
You just do 811
Okay.
utility locates.
Okay, so they can, I did that when I put a little fence at the bottom of the hill and had them locate the pipes in that area, electrical utilities, and nothing showed up towards Guy Wetzel at all. It's all plumbed into Farragut. So I think you can see on there where the water main comes in from. This is basically my water main coming in, only it's right at the side of the house over here. So I know these aren't perfect.
Right.
I was just curious so if I just called them up and said I wanted to have a locate done up here at the bottom of my driveway, they could find these?
Yeah, you would.
This is probably the easiest place to get at it because this is all a brush pile down here.
Right, so this is your house here.
Yes, this is my house.
Right. Yeah, and you could even put a driveway in there. You would just not I don't know if it's
Probably wouldn't
physically
want to
able,
pave it.
but you wouldn't pave it.
Right, yeah.
So I mean I don't know if it's too steep or anyway. It's,
Well, yeah, anything would have to be done at this side. The Guy Wetzel's my access. It comes down
you're
here.
coming in this way.
And then my driveway goes around here.
Oh, I
This is
see.
my
You're
driveway.
right
Yeah,
here.
this is my driveway right here.
We really need to get our address.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said,
Okay.
it's
But is your front door up on Farragut? Is that what?
No.
It's
The
actually
front
Guy
door is
Wetzel.
actually the driveway, and it's more Guy Wetzel or Tracy than it is Farragut.
Wow.
Farragut's just the hillside. So,
Interesting.
yeah, I think when the house was built, it got a Farragut address. It really should be a Guy Wetzel address because
We do need to get
that's
that
kind of where it.
Yeah, you don't want the paramedics coming up.
Exactly.
Driving up and down
That's
Farragut
exactly
looking through
right.
your house.
Okay.
If we do have that located, how wide of a spot on either side of those the sewer and the water?
well, we require it would be 10 feet either side.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So that's what I'm saying is depending on
Yeah.
where they're at, you're looking at a minimum 20-foot
Right.
swath through there. So
Okay.
and the half right of way is only 30 feet.
Yes. Right.
So
And I'm assuming the pipes probably don't run down the middle of the street, middle of that 60-foot right away.
no,
Usually they don't.
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I mean, especially in that part of town.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I think what I'd like to do is then get a locate done, and then we
Yeah.
can know how much we could do in terms of like putting some plantings or stuff like that. So there's no issue with like putting plantings in there and things like that.
Nothing.
As
that
long as
you-
we don't care if it gets dug up, if there's a
Right.
sewer or water main break.
and nothing that's going to
Not
be a
the
root
garage.
problem.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, don't
Well,
put a big fir tree over it.
Yeah. Well, there's already some of them there.
There are.
We wouldn't plant any of those.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Walking out. You got it.
And I printed these out too, so you can see better.
He might have to go out. He made an accident in the hallway.
Oh no. I just took them out right before the meeting.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
This is your item.
So we received an email from Karen Thomas. There were a number of questions that I answered in red. They really had to do with
Just the health club's parking, it's
Right.
spilling out onto the.
Yeah, I highlighted
But
her
there-
question that was marked.
yeah. So that
But there's a shoulder and a sidewalk there in the first few feet, 100 feet or so. Is that what's the
Right.
question?
She would like no parking signs.
Okay.
right. But I also was recently told that they've purchased the property to the north to build a parking lot.
I heard they had an option on it. I don't know that they've purchased it.
Oh.
The man at the counter who owns it, he came in and said they were in escrow. And they expected it to close this month.
Okay. And it is for additional parking. So
Is this really an area that we shouldn't have parking? Because it's got a sidewalk and a shoulder.
I mean, it really depends on the pavement width right there.
right.
I mean, I don't have the answer. I'm questioning it. I'm not making a statement.
I mean,
Farther up the road, I could see this road is very narrow and there's no shoulder.
It's gonna get rebuilt.
It's getting rebuilt, but down here in front of the health club, they did widen the road and there is a shoulder and a sidewalk.
but they didn't. But it.
Is it
To me, the bigger issue is that parking for development is for off-street parking. They're supposed to provide
Yeah.
the adequate amount of parking stalls. So the city doesn't provide on-street parking as a general.
Well, I don't think it was intended, but it's a consequence of success of their business. It's spilling over.
But my concern is, are we setting, a precedent that when somebody outgrows their parking requirement, and they start spilling out onto the street, do we?
A business downtown that's successful and they don't.
Our adopted parking standard allows for an optional parking lane. It just has to be constructed.
And that wasn't constructed as a parking.
So if it wasn't constructed as a parking
That's
lane,
what-
then
that's my
it would
question.
have to be improved by.
But it wasn't.
Property.
But it was improved. Though.
It was improved, but they didn't do it. They didn't build a parking. In our parking standards, we have one standard that has a curb gutter, sidewalk, on-street parking,
Okay.
and then the road.
Okay, and that's not built to that standard.
No.
Okay, that was my question.
But if they wanted to put pavement on if they wanted to, restripe it and put a little extra pavement in there to.
So they could. Well, that would
They'd
require them.
wire it on
they'd have
the east
to,
side.
They'd have to move the sidewalk or widen it on the other side and move the
Yeah.
roadway over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that could be an option for them too. Then is to further improve the street to allow for on-street parking.
Right.
That'd be challenging though, for sight distances
Right.
in an intersection when it's close to an intersection.
Yeah. I guess my thought on this is we should probably reach out to Dr. Villiard and see what his intentions are.
Willard, yeah, Brian Willard.
Yeah.
So tell me, what are we talking about parking just from Sedgwick?
Well, anywhere on Ramsey, but he improved. I mean, from the health club north, the street is substandard, and
Correct.
then there isn't any opportunity for off street.
So are people parking there?
Yeah.
Well, they're actually parking. What the concern is they're parking there next to the health club where the new sidewalk is, and what they're saying is the street wasn't built to have street parking along that sidewalk. It isn't even wide enough there.
Right. So I don't really want to post no parking signs. I think the simpler solution is to either have the overflow commitment on the overflow parking lot and tell Brian that people aren't supposed to park out there, or that they have the option to put on-street parking with the restriping of the road.
So
the
this
widening
sounds
of the
like
road.
that's something that the Public Works Department needs to reach out to Dr. Willard,
Yeah, that's what
And
I'm
does he
thinking.
own the
Health Club.
health club, and the people in question own the parcel right across?
No,
the
they live way down by Salmonberry.
They live down the street. They're just complaining because they don't like the cars parked along the street. They don't
because they turn in.
they're driving down the street accessing Sedgwick, and there's a slope there.
Oh yeah,
It's a down.
yeah.
Yeah, this was one of 7 questions or something that were responded to. So we'll do some research. We'll reach out to Dr. Villiard.
Willard.
Willard, I guess. Yeah, Willard. What's with a V? I just keep pronouncing that.
I'm gonna
Villiard.
pull this street up on our screen here since we have it.
Oh, here we go.
I can get it.
Oh, I'm not connected that close.
I just restarted it. There we go. All right. So they built a turn lane there, a right turn lane, a left turn lane
Yeah,
from
they-
Ramsey.
Right. They
So
did
not a parking lane.
There we are.
There it is.
That's
the old.
That's the old picture.
Oh yeah, they haven't updated this.
So.
Yeah, there's a left turn lane off Sedgwick, and then there's a right turn lane. There's a left turn lane also off of Ramsey. No, I don't think there's a left turn lane.
Oh,
Yeah, there is.
So it's they've got it in the plan view.
So
Yeah.
actually, I mean, they may have enough pavement here if it was striped as a parking lane, but
You
way
have to
this
widen it a
papers-
little bit on the other side, I think.
Yeah, there's not the 8 foot in the 12-foot, I mean, there's,
I go out. Can you guys go out and measure it just to?
Where's
confirm?
the overflow parking?
There isn't.
there isn't.
Okay.
That's the problem. That's what they want to
Come on by
apply.
This person
site and
is
expand
offering
the
to sell
parking
them
If
that
they would
property.
have put a vault in instead of that big pond, they'd have a bigger parking lot, but they didn't. That big little area to the left is a storm pond.
It's interesting that people are parked on the street and yet there appear to be empty stalls.
I think it's the employees park in there so that they don't impact the customers.
Oh,
That's,
Right, but there, I could see her concern because you can see people because there is no formal parking stalls. It's just for that first black car, for example.
Yeah.
Depending on how far they just arbitrarily kind of creep forward, they're
Yeah, there might be room for a couple of parking
Yeah, I
stalls.
think there's probably room for these three, but beyond that, if somebody's parking here, it forces somebody over the yellow line. So it just needs to be striped and then the curb painted, maybe.
Yeah, it might only be two, too. The Public Works needs to go out and measure the lane.
We'll look at it, but then I guess the other question is, we'd still have to change the code because we have to modify 10.12 because it would be restricted parking.
If
If we-
restrict it and sign it.
Right. Well, all of our parking is in the city, where we have defined stalls. And we would list that street, Ramsey, and it would be
4 hour.
4 hours, something like that. Which, if it's employees,
I don't see any, I mean, I don't know that you need a restriction on time, do you?
well, I'm just looking at consistency with the city. If you look
I
at
mean, I'm with Nick though. Let's just put some paint on the ground. If we're not going to restrict it from a time, why does it need to be in the code? I would agree if we were going to put 2 hour or 4 hour there, then it need to be in the code. But putting the paint on the ground to allow the car to be there is no different than any other street in
Yeah.
the city.
If it's
Well,
not in
and-
code, they're not gonna be able to enforce it if there's a violation.
Well, but you're parked in a drive lane if it's striped.
There's nothing to
Aren't you?
enforce because there's no time limit.
Yeah, the only thing to enforce is that if you park in a if you park in a 12-foot drive lane, you can be towed because you're blocking a street.
okay, well, we'll look at adding parking stalls so that
If there's enough pavement,
if there, yeah, okay,
more to come.
More to
I think
come.
this is more administrative than taking something back to the council. It's just us figuring out if there's enough lane width. If there's not, then we gotta inform Dr. Willard and possibly post no parking if they don't police themselves.
right.
It's,
Okay.
it's his customers and
Right, the
their
other thing
employees.
that's gonna happen as those developments build out, there's gonna be a lot more pressure on the street.
Right.
And the streets, there's survey stakes. We were just out there last night,
Yeah.
farther up the street for where it's going to get half-street improvements farther up.
Right, but that doesn't take care of the entire street, and there's gonna be pressure on the street, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this Indazio only triggered really because it was Indazio with Blueberry.
Right,
Blueberry's going to take it a step farther when that comes through.
Yes. So
It'll be a full-
with
full
right
street.
because all we're getting right now is just kind of like some widening to get a consistent 20-foot minimum.
Right.
In shoulders.
But there's half-street improvements going down Blueberry.
Blueberry, right? Blueberry's getting almost is a full street improvement. But with the Blueberry Ridge development, we still haven't.
We don't have plans yet for the Ramsey improvements
Right.
to approve.
So okay.
Lots of stakes out there, though. We saw last night.
Okay.
All right. So pencil feed. This has been Judy Ingleson has been emailing Scott and I about this lease. They have pencil feed had a 5-year lease. They had an option to renew that lease for an additional 5 years. They notified us of their intent to renew it. Judy was trying to get in ahead of that to let us know that she doesn't believe that we should lease that to Penn Feed. I informed her they had an option that they have. She pointed out two things to me. One, that their warehousing inventory on the city's leased property, and she's correct. And I've talked to Doug, the manager there, and that's why the tractors that are unassembled and the crates have been moved to a different location. They can put display inventory or use it for customer parking, but they can't use it for warehousing activity, that swath of land. So they're aware of that now. It's always been in the lease, it just hasn't been enforced. And Judy's believes that the city has a need for that parking, or the citizens as a whole, not Penn Feed. And she's pointing to the paragraph, this paragraph 7, where we can give them 90 days notice and terminate the lease. I'm not in favor of that. I think we need to look at that parking when the lease comes due. But I think I don't know that we truly have a need for that parking ourselves at this time. As we develop the pathway and additional park space downtown and eliminate long-term parking, I could see us needing that for public use. But at this time, I think that would be a bit of a stretch.
Well, she's not talking about public use. She's talking about overflow parking for their buildings.
Yeah, well, she believes that's public parking. That go to the map here. She believes that this is the lease area here.
Right.
She believes that this should get improved and be public parking. And somewhere down the road, I don't disagree with her. But right now, this business has had a long-term lease with the city and has just recently renewed this for 5 years.
Well, it seems like you can see that where they've been staging and having their created stuff. If that's gone, I mean, I'm a compromise guy. It seems like
I think that
half of it could be specific.
I think that this is a conversation to have when they have a lease and they had an option to renew it. I think it'd be pretty tough to get to the point where we're evicting them from this.
Did they, just a second, their lease, this one, the one I'm looking at here was recorded August 30th of 2012. So if it's a 5-year lease.
It just came due.
It just came due, and it was their option to renew it.
Absolutely.
And they did.
Correct.
So now it extends out to 2022.
Correct.
Okay, and so the question is that particular strip of parking.
Mm-hmm. That's Judy's question.
That's Judy's question.
Yeah.
Well, I tend to agree with the mayor in that I guess I kind of disagree with the fact that her statement that said that there's no parking downtown. During the day, during the weekdays, parking isn't an issue downtown.
No, I think you got to define what downtown means. Does it mean Harrison?
Yeah. I think that in the future we're going to have a need for that parking and to improve that area. Right now, I think it'd be a tough. If we took that back, I think we would have an obligation to improve it.
But the other thing that I'm going to say is I don't think there's anyone that monitors if the people that are parking down there, now that the inventory has been moved, I don't believe there's anyone monitoring whether...
There's no parking signs because it's their leased property. But
correct, but when Penn Feed is closed...
I've observed all kinds of free on the weekends and in the evenings, yes.
Right, and Penn Feed is closed in the evenings and it's closed on Sundays.
I believe there's a door here accessing the back of this building here, then this is hatched here. And it might be somewhere in this area.
Yeah, there's a main door
into this building. Most of this stuff's been moved back here and back here. Because I talked to them about it.
So the lease is just that strip of land. It's not the land that the building sits on.
Well, the building
it encroaches on part of it.
Encroaches on it, yeah. But yeah, it's this right of that's their. This is their land. there's a DNR lease here.
Is it DNR or is it port?
This is DNR, I believe.
And then to the right is the port. That's the port.
Oh, the port is that little T, upside down T. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. They.
Yeah. So what they really own is this. They own this. They lease this from us, and they lease this from DNR, I believe. So anyway, what's in question is our lease, and they had a right to
renew it.
to exercise their option to renew. They did, and I think we'd be in a tough place, because if we did say we needed it, I think we would have an obligation to improve it and put
And also prove
curb
that,
and
it's, yeah.
that there's a need, and I think it'd be tough to do, and it put them in a tough place to pull the rug out from underneath them. I think in the
As
future,
long as the inventory's not there, I'm fine
Yes.
with it. Because that, again, it's a lot like some of the kids at bank parking. When they're not open, they don't care.
Okay. I have no problem responding to Judy's
To
email.
Judy.
And I'll let her know that we talked to him about the inventory, and there isn't a desire for the city to take control of that and to improve it at this time for public parking, and that we'll revisit that when the lease comes due.
And it sounds like that time frame may be close to when we do anything with the park, because that's 3 to 5 years out, if more so.
Right, you're probably spot on. That's all we have.
Okay.
That was pretty easy. Then we will adjourn the meeting.